Okay, so now I believe we are good to go with today's masterclass. So requesting Ashwin to take on from here. Ashwin, over to you now.
All right, perfect. Hi everyone. I hope you can see me and hear me properly. Just confirm once, maybe. Okay, perfect. So thanks for joining today, everyone. This is going to be a very interesting session on Zomato, data analytics, Excel, and so on, right? Let's see how we can make the most out of it. So I'll start with a quick introduction, and then I would want some inputs from you. So I am working as an AI product manager at HRS Group. HRS is one of the world's leading B2B travel companies, um, based out of Germany but operating across the globe in most of the countries. And here I manage data science, core data science products like recommendation engine, AI products, right? Like conversational AI, Copilot, and so on and so forth, right? Rebooking, hotel portfolio optimization. All of these are travel products. You may not be aware of some of these, you may not understand, but essentially these are like utilizing data science, data analytics to a significant extent, right? I was at Udan previously, which is India's largest B2B e-commerce. Just like Amazon, Flipkart, but it operates in the B2B space, which means it delivers goods to shopkeepers, retailers, manufacturers, distributors, and so on. And before that, graduated from IIT Ropar. And I've been associated with Coding Ninjas now for close to about 4 years now. And I've been mentoring and instructing students in data science analytics. All right, that's a quick introduction, a bit about me. Before we move on, I would want to understand from you very quickly your background. If you can write two things in the chat, your educational background, and second, your work experience, if any. Right? So, educational background and work experience, if you have some work ex. All right, let's see. Okay, because this helps me understand the audience also better, and we should be able to then accordingly, yeah, address all of you and change the flow of the session. Okay. So I can see a lot of interesting answers. BA computer, okay, it's moving too fast. BA computers, 9 years accounts experience, MSc data science, BTech 21, okay, US IT recruiter, MSc stats, 2 years of work experience. But work experience in what domain? Like also, what's the work experience you have? Just write which domain. Uh, okay. And then we have recruitment, computer science, MBA. Non-tech background, Kalyan, but like what exactly in non-tech? So I think there are a lot of people from the non-tech background. We are not expecting you to be from the tech background. This session is for everyone, right? Across the board. So even if you don't come from a tech background, you should be able to understand each and everything here. 3 years in IT, in infra support, makes sense. Data analytics, data analyst, okay. Product owner, HR, BCom, team manager, um, graduation in BMS. Interesting. All right, so a lot of answers. So I see a lot of people are from MS, MSc, BSc, BTech, sort of an engineering kind of background. Um, and many of you are from BCom background, and some of you are also from an MBA background. If we look at the work experience, I'll just try to summarize from what I see here. Like you come from very different domains. Some of you are working also as data analysts already, but most of you are not from this domain. So you're working in operations, finance, okay, HR, marketing, CA, no work experience, also freshers, lot of freshers also. Understood. Makes sense. So this is very helpful. Just before we move on, one more thing. If you can write in the chat also, what's your motivation behind attending this session? What made you join this session? what do you want to achieve through this session, and I'll see if we can help you achieve that, right? Let's see. So if money, okay, of course, makes sense. Fair point, right? More, can we get more inputs? So what do you want to achieve from this session? What made you join the session today here? Career growth, switch to data science, fair. Job change. Learn something new. Okay. Real time experience in data analytics, industry practices. Understood. I think this makes sense. So broadly, I see four buckets. One is career change or job. Second is upskilling and growth. Yeah. Third is, and also knowledge. So that's the second bucket. Third is just wanting to learn more about Zomato as a business. Let's say how it works. And the fourth one is pure awareness, right? Like understanding what is there in data science, guidance, all of that. Got it. So yeah, and of course, higher salary, stable career makes sense. All right, this is helpful. Thanks for all this. And I see a lot of people like, I think most of you are wanting to go for a career change, like switch, right? I would say probably about 70 to 80% of people here, which absolutely makes sense, right? It is something that is expected. So I mean, on that note, there is also something that we run here at Coding Ninjas, which is called the Data Analytics Job Bootcamp. You may want to explore later, right? This helps you like really get into data analytics. Um, it's a 6 months program where we teach SQL, Excel, Python, Power BI, right? All the skills you need, and it's very practical, right? It really helps you get a foot in the door. It really helps you crack some of those data analytics slash data science roles, and it is not theoretical, it's more practical, lot of hands-on projects, right? And we are also partners with Coding Ninjas, like so is a sister subsidiary of Naukri.com, which is, as you know, India's largest job portal. So you get those exclusive opportunities if you're a part of this program, right? I just wanted to touch upon this because I see a lot of messages here in the chat around like career switch and job change. This program helps you do exactly that, right? So I've posted here in the chat a form which you can fill out if you're interested in this. And yeah, people from our team, program experts, will reach out to you and they'll help you navigate how you can get that job change, or get that job, right? Or if this program is something that can help you, then they'll probably also suggest this program for you, right? All right. um, this is, I mean, I just wanted to talk about this for 1 minute because I see that a lot of people may get a lot of value. I'm an instructor in the course and I know that this has helped someone, right? This is not, of course, marketing or something. I've seen this really help people. So I just wanted to talk about that. All right. Now, what do you know about Zomato? Like, really, let's get into the topic, right? First of all, it's a food delivery service. Right? You must have ordered from either Zomato or a Swiggy kind of food delivery service. And it makes sense also for us to know this today because it is one of India's largest startups, right? So if you see Swiggy and Zomato, they've really captured the space. I think they're doing really well. Not so much probably on profitability, but they're really having huge numbers, serving customers across India. What we want to learn today from their data is how do we derive insights, how do we build better products, yeah, through the data that we see here. How do we take those business decisions through analyzing data? How do we help Zomato grow, increase revenue, increase profitability, and reduce operational cost, reduce overall variable and fixed costs through this data set, right? So now let's get into the data set and let's see how we can solve some of the problems that Zomato is encountering. First of all, I will share the dataset towards the end. So please don't ask those questions. I see I get a lot of questions typically around, can you please share the data set and so on. I think you should be able to see, 1 second, I'll just zoom in a bit. So this is a data set, first of all, that you will not find online. I created this with the help of ChatGPT, right? Proper prompts, and I learned from people working, like people in my network working at Zomato, and I understood from them what are the columns that they typically have in the data that they're working on. Obviously, they don't want to share the data set with me, right? Why would they share this confidential data with me? Also, data of customers, this is data of users of Zomato, right? People like you and me who order from Zomato. This is not something you will find anywhere online also, right? So you'll have to go for dummy data, but then you can really make it super sharp, like this one. If you see, you'll not even realize, if I would not have told you that this is not real data, you won't have believed me, because this looks exactly like real data. Yeah, and this has been, I've taken help of these AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, and a lot of my learnings, insights to write those prompts which help me get to this data set, right? So that's the idea. Let's look at, um, okay, can I get the YouTube live stream? I'll just follow some of the questions that I'm getting here in the chat. And if there's any question at any point, please feel free to write in the chat. YouTube live stream link, you will get here. Okay, I can still paste it here if you want, but I am not sure you're still in the session, right? Why would you need this? I'll still write it here. Okay. Yeah, I'll paste it here just in case anyone outside also wants to attend. All good. Perfect. Let's see. Now let's start with understanding how the data looks like. That's the step one. That's the first step. Exploring the data, right? We call this data exploration. Let's look at each and every column. What does the data look like in each and every column, right? So we have order ID, user ID. This is unique orders, right? First of all, this is order level data. So I have about 1,000 rows, and you have these order IDs. Every order ID is unique. So you'll not find any two same order IDs here, but you may find same user ID. So one user may have ordered something on, let's say, what's the date? 4th of April. And the same user may order something again on 9th of April. Now the order ID will be different, but the user ID will still be the same. I hope you can understand. So one user will have one user ID, but this user may place multiple orders on the same day, across days, across months, weeks, years, whatever. So that's the idea. And then we have number of items, or in this order, how many items were placed. And also, to make this now more interesting, I added items ordered. Which items did this person order? As you can see, this item here is pretty peculiar. If you see tandoori chicken, momos, vada pav, coke, so it really has, yeah, all the cuisines within India. I mean, I don't know what is happening here, but it looks like this person really wants to enjoy a bunch of different cuisines. Yeah, and then okay, this looks more like a South Indian sort of thing. Gulab jamun, vada pav, dosa. So at least, and the restaurant, if you see here, is the Curry Leaf in Andheri. And now, I don't know why this is now in Delhi, but there may be an area in Delhi also called Andheri. So items ordered, cost. This is the cost of the order, right? Restaurant name. This is from where we've ordered. Restaurant location also, like the locality or the area within that city. So this is the city of the restaurant. I'll just call this restaurant city so that we keep things consistent. And then we also have order date, right? I hope this is properly visible to everyone. Let's look at filters quickly before I move on to order date. I want to look at, just give me a second. Let's look at the filters. All right. I want to look at which cities are there in my data set. Now I just want to check if this is visible to everyone. Okay, perfect. So this list of filters, if you see Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, Noida, Pune. So these are mostly metro cities, tier one. And we have data for April, if you see. Yeah, till yesterday, in fact. So 1st of April till 18th of April. So it is fairly recent data, the best you can get, honestly. And then order timestamp. Typically, yeah, if you see in companies like Zomato and Swiggy, you would have uh, data analysts writing SQL queries to fetch this kind of a data. Yeah, and it will take a lot of time for them to fetch this data because typically it does not reside in one table. It resides in the database across tables, right? So I'll just remove these two because I don't need these two columns for now. I'll create those columns later because I also want to show you how we create or how we manipulate data, right? So then let's look at delivery timestamp. So order date, order timestamp, and delivery timestamp. When was it ordered and when was it delivered? Many of these items are in progress, and some of those orders are cancelled or delivered. So what are the different status that we have? We have cancelled, delivered, and in progress. And then we have device type, mobile, desktop, tablet, yeah, and delivery time minutes. So essentially, if the order was delivered, only then you'll get a delivery time, right? So that's there. And then again, if the order was cancelled or in progress, you will not find a delivery time here. Questions. Let's look at questions now. Yeah, again, don't look at the like correctness of each and everything. Like I said, you'll not get this data anywhere. You need to really get it corrected using ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT generates something, then you'll have to correct it that no, this is not right. You'll have to do a lot of to and fro, a lot of iterations need to happen to really get to something that is very, very powerful. And that's what you see here. But there is still a lot of scope here, right? That you'll try to, but this is helpful, right? This is all you need for learning even the most advanced data science, data analytics. Feedback, this is the last column. So if the person gave a feedback, not everyone gives a feedback, but if that person gave a feedback, you have these buckets called neutral, happy, unhappy, and of course all these blanks. So what else? Now want to get your inputs. What else do you think we should have here? What else is missing, like, looks missing here? Obviously I won't add anything, but I just want to ensure that we are on the same page. From your inputs I'll understand and I'll judge if we are on the same page, if you're able to understand the kind of data that we want to get. So we are looking at order level data, right? Data specific to orders. What was ordered, how much was ordered, what was the cost, where was it ordered from, what was the date, timestamp, delivery time, and the feedback that the person gave after that person got the order. So that's the idea. What do you think? Suggestions on what we can add? Payment type, pretty good, Mayur. Really like this. This may help us understand. Let's see, right? Why do we need that column? For every column, always take this approach of trying to understand why do we need this? Will this help me make the business better? Will this help me increase the revenue? Will this help me improve a product? Right? Which is something that typically product analysts or business analysts do. So payment type, yes, would help me understand that, okay, how many items of a particular payment type were cancelled, let's say. I may be using a lot of UPI and I may be canceling a lot of orders when that order was placed using UPI or maybe credit card, but maybe because there's some other issue with credit card. Address, yes, address of order, absolutely. Typically, Prerna, it will be in the same city if you see, right? Usually, we don't order, like someone sitting in Noida won't order from Delhi. Typically, of course, that can happen. So, yeah. And then we have discount and commission, absolutely. Veg, non-veg, yes, makes sense. That is there. That is definitely something that will help us understand what are people in a particular city leaning towards. What do you think in South India? Do people prefer non-veg or veg? What do you think? Like, what's the general consensus here? Let's try to understand. What do you think would be like this? You'll also find some of these insights you'll find on Zomato's like page. There's this particular data analytics page that they have on zomato.com where you'll get already some of these insights. So in South India, I understand that people order a lot of biryani, for example, right? And most of the times it's chicken biryani. So Nana and Kamlesh, I think you're right. In South India, so most of the orders, like sorry, more number of orders are non-vegetarian. All of this is really good. So I am happy to see that we are on the same page. Your understanding of the problem statement is the same also as my understanding, right? So we just want to ensure before we start solving some of these problems, let's try to ensure that we are on the same page. All right. So that was part one, exploring the data, understanding uh, the problem statement, and understanding the data both. Now let's solve some problems, right? Let's really try to help Zomato get some insights. I am a data analyst or a data scientist at Zomato, and I want to bring out some of those unique trends and insights that make me more informed about what is happening in India, right? What is happening in the food delivery space. So let's start with the simplest of cuts, and that is location, right? The simplest question, and always start with questions, right? That's an approach to data analytics that I really like, and I've seen that it works wonders if you follow this approach. So what is the question I want to answer? The first question I want to answer is, let's understand the trends across cities. Which cities are having more orders, right? Also look at average order value across cities. So let's create this wonderful thing called a pivot table. Do you know what is a pivot table? How many of you have used a pivot table? Can you write in the chat? I would launch maybe a poll. Yeah, I would have launched a poll, but I think it will take some time. So if you can write in the chat if um, yeah, if you've used a pivot table. Interesting. Okay. Many of you have used about probably 50%. So let's insert a pivot table. And I, by the way, already have these cuts ready for you for this session. So we look at locations, restaurants, average order value, and so on. So let's start with the first cut or the first analysis, and that is location. Hope you can see my screen. So I'm creating a pivot table and I'm pasting this here in the location. This pivot table I'm creating here. So these are the columns, all the columns that you have, right? And let's look at restaurant city. Now there are these four buckets. These we call as the like pivot table fields, um, filters, columns, rows, and values. Right? I mean, these are the pivot table fields, but we need to drag them into these four sections. Filters, which means what are the filters you want to apply? Columns. Here you will create a few columns and rows, and then values. Right? Let's see with an example how this works. So restaurant city would be rows, right? All the restaurants, unique cities that we have, they will come in the rows. And then let's take a unique value. Like unique values are basically order IDs in my data set. So how many orders were placed in Bangalore, for example? So I'll just drag this here in values. And you see it already takes count of order ID. Can you tell me now which is the most, or let me sort by the count of order ID, and then you'll see. Yeah, so which city had the most orders? Can you tell me? Obviously not reflective of real number of orders, which may be more in like tens of thousands, yeah, or even more. This is only 1,000 records. So Pune clearly wins this race. We have a lot of orders, like the highest number of orders is in Pune, but there's not a lot of deviation if you see, right? Bangalore is also not very far from Pune in that sense. So people in Pune are ordering a lot in April. That's what I understand from this data. So notice what I'm doing here. I start with a question. Then I think of the tool, like the tool within Excel, Power BI, SQL, Python. In Python, let's say which library do I want to use? In Excel, I use the pivot table, right? So, what is the right tool for me to answer this question? Right tool to answer this question. Yeah. And then what is the learning? So, I use that tool, I create a pivot table, for example, or some chart or do some analysis, right? So, and then learn, like derive insights from this. For example, here the insight was super straightforward. Pune is having the most number of orders, right, out of these cities. So, derive insights from the analysis. So this I call the three-step process. Honestly, if you really follow first principle thinking, you'll get this, you'll get to this yourself. It doesn't need like you learning any of this. Do this 5 times, you'll like internalize this process. So what is the question that you want to answer using data? What is the right tool that I need to use to answer this question? For example, okay, Excel, and within Excel, pivot table or macros or charts or maybe, yeah, splitting columns, adding new columns, something. And then derive insights from the analysis. You do some analysis, like this one. In this case, I created a pivot table and now learn from it, right? Learn from it, derive insights, write some. And also, this is how you solve case studies. This is now people come to me and ask, Ashwin, how do we solve case studies? I really need to crack this Zomato interview. This is exactly the kind of data you get, right? In such processes, you don't won't get a lot of like very detailed data. Like this is still very good data. You would get a snapshot of the data, 1 week of orders in a particular city, right? So that's the kind of data you'll get because they don't want to also share this confidential information. And then based on that, you'll be able to first think about the questions that you want to answer. What's the right tool to answer this question? And they usually give a free hand, use any tool you want. And then they ask you to derive insights and share your learnings with them. And based on those learnings, how can you solve a business problem? That would be an additional step. You can call this step 4. So, how do we solve a business problem using this analysis? Yeah, uh, leveraging from this analysis, let's say. So that's the idea. Those are the 4 things you need to keep in mind, right? All right. So I'll just okay. Let's keep this here. Now, one more thing, very quickly, I want to understand. Let's make this a bit more detailed, right? Not the steps, but the analysis. So within this, let's look at restaurant location. I'll add that as a second step, like I'll add that as a second layer within this, right? As you can see, I think there's some, so ChatGPT did not do a bunch of things right. But essentially you'll get within that city, what are the specific locations, and you'll be able to identify the top location. For example, in Mumbai is Andheri, right? Banjara Hills, I think, is in Hyderabad and not Mumbai. But yeah, so that's the idea, right? So this is how you can go deeper inside uh, one of those metrics. In this case, the city, one of those fields, right? So that's one. That is just the first cut that I've shown you, location. Okay. Now let's make this more interesting. This was still level 1, super basic, anyone can do. But let's now make this more interesting and get to level 2. And before that, I'd like to check if there's any question. Um, Power BI also, yeah, we can use obviously. Power BI is where you'll create all these beautiful charts and graphs. You can also clean data, manipulate data in Power BI, but essentially it is a tool more for visualization. All right. Automation, hypothesis testing, yes. Data scientists, statisticians, etc. They need to do all of that. So that would be required if you are solving such problems. But yeah, not analysts. They do not typically do a lot of hypothesis testing and all. Power BI is not paid, Jaya. If you're a Mac user, then you have my sympathies. You would need to pay. But Windows users, it's completely free. Like Power BI desktop is free for Windows users. Great, interesting. Let's look at now restaurant. So I'll create another pivot table. Like I said, this is the single most powerful tool within Excel, where you'll get to summarize thousands and millions of records of data. Uh, yeah, not millions because Excel has a limit. So less than 10 lakhs typically amount of data in like a whisker, right? In within 1 minute, you'll be able to get a very sharp analysis of your entire data. Let's look at this, right? So the first question now again, look at the approach that I'm following. So I want to understand which restaurant is doing really well, like which restaurant is getting a lot of orders, right? And this may be a chain like McDonald's, Domino's, or this may be a standalone restaurant like this one particular restaurant in Bangalore or this one particular restaurant in Mumbai. Yeah, so let's look at that. And I'm very sure you would identify some familiar restaurants because this is all public data. Like the names are all like we know all of this. Okay, so these are more like these are very specific restaurants: Arabian Nights, Barbecue Nations, Biryani Blues, Burger King, Chinese Wok, Domino's, Haldiram's, Oven Story, Taco Bell, and Curry Leaf. I have tried all of them except Arabian Nights, and I'm sure you would have also tried some of them, right? Looks good, pretty interesting. Now I want to understand two things. First of all, which restaurant is expensive? Can you tell me how can I uh, get the answer to that question? Which restaurant is most expensive? Is there a way I can understand? Please tell me in the chat. Let's see. Because there is a way, there is an answer that I'll get from the data. Which restaurant is the most expensive? Is there a way I can get that? No, Shivangi, I think this is very relevant order value, but why minimum? Like, see, minimum, honestly, you can order water inside a restaurant, right? Minimum would still be 30, like 30, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, right? Minimum can be um, water, ordering water inside that expensive restaurant, and that still may be very cheap. That will not give you an idea of whether that restaurant is expensive. For example, let's assume Arabian Nights is super expensive, but the minimum order value can be 10 rupees. I mean, honestly, yeah, or 50 rupees. So, minimum order value will not help. Price difference for similar dishes, Arpit, but we need like all that data inside this. We don't have that data, right? I'm asking what can I do from this data to help me answer that question of which is a more expensive restaurant. By summing up order values, no, Jaya, because number of orders is different across each restaurant, right? For example, just to substantiate my point, I'll show you that the number of orders for each restaurant is fairly different, right? Then how can we like just take a sum of all the order values? I mean, the 80 orders in Taco Bell, total order value will not be the same as the 103 orders in Arabian Nights. Or I mean, it'll be different, of course, but I'll not get any information from there. Like, think a bit more, right? Do average, of course, right? Average of order value, that will give me some idea. Will not be very accurate, but that still will give me some idea of how much does it cost? How much does this restaurant cost? Right? And even more realistic than average would be what? What's even more practical and what handles outliers is essentially median, right? So median of order value is the best metric I can get to understand the which restaurant is more expensive, which restaurant is cheaper, and so on and so forth. So let me do just that. And now what I'll do is I'll just drag cost over here. Yeah, but it took the sum of cost. I don't need sum of cost, so I'll just click on this drop down icon like this. Can you see this half arrow sort of thing? And I click on this, I go to value field settings. And there are a bunch of things I can do here, honestly, now, right? I can take max, min, product count, standard deviation, and so on, right? Sum, count. I'll take the average here, or I can define the median also here. It's not an option here, but yeah, we can always define the median by writing a formula. So, and that formula also, I'll just show you very quickly how you can write that. Here you can define a new field, right? Okay, just let me show how you can do that. So you can always create a new field here. Uh, yes, it's one of the actions over here. So we used to always, whenever it's not part of the analysis, we always used to define a new field. It's been a while, so I'll still have to check. I think it's in the pivot table. Yeah, it's here. So calculated field. So you can just write formula median, yeah, of whatever you want. In this case, it will be this column B3. Yeah, sorry. It will be median of cost basically. Cost is the name of the column. So this kind of thing. Yeah, but I'll keep it very, very simple here. I'll take the average. Perfect. And I don't want all these numbers, like all these decimal points. I'll just remove. 1 second. And can you tell me now which is the most expensive restaurant from these numbers? Can you tell me? Yeah, which is the most expensive? Yeah, I am sure some of you would order Zomato after this, order from Zomato from after this session. Very clearly Arabian Nights, right? Absolutely. High average, no, no, Sai. High average does tell us that the restaurant is highly priced. It doesn't tell us famous restaurant. This is not accounting numbers at any point, right? Number of orders. Average cost is like, I don't. So we've already divided by number of orders. What is the average? Average is sum of all the orders, like sum of all the order values divided by number of orders. So I've already eliminated number of orders from the mix. So you don't need to. So this definitely tells me whether the restaurant is highly priced or not, right? Of course, it's not a very accurate measure, but it's still the best measure that I have. Yeah, for from this data. So super powerful. You know already that you maybe don't want to order from Arabian Nights, for example, or you may want to order for or Biryani Blues is actually not expensive now that we see this data, right? So let's probably go ahead and order from Biryani Blues. So that those are the kinds of insights. Again, what am I doing? I'm on step 3 right now. Derive insights. I'm deriving insights from the analysis now, and this is now more like inherent inside of myself, inside me, because I've been doing this since quite a while now. And when you do this for sufficiently long period of time, you will be able to already like start thinking in this direction. Yeah, so I think we already did A of AOV, but I just want to do average order value across cities now. Want to understand which city is like more expensive also, that, right? So let me create a pivot table here in this AOV worksheet, and I want to, I'll just speed up slightly, but just follow me. Let me know if you're not able to follow. So, restaurant city in rows and average cost. So, I'll take average, not sum. Average cost in values. Let's see. Can you tell me which is the most expensive city? I mean, from obviously we can't say expensive city. Which is the city which has uh, the highest average order value? Which is the city from like which is the city that has the most sort of expensive orders on Zomato? Can you tell me? Yes. Can I get some answers? No. Why Kolkata? Okay, a lot of wrong answers also. Please see this properly, right? All right, clearly Noida. Yes, most of you are right. Noida, 442. So maybe Noida is expensive. I don't know. I mean, you cannot obviously derive this insight that Noida is expensive from here, because this is not sufficient data for you to do that, or this is not sufficient parameters for you to evaluate that, right? I only can comment on food delivery trends, not anything outside of it. So don't make logical jumps in conclusion. Also, one of the rules in data analytics, uh, your insight is as dumb as the data that you have. So there may be biases in the data, there may be incompleteness of data, so there may be outliers, yeah, incomplete data. These are some problems you may have with the data. And then also errors, yeah, missing, so incomplete slash missing, right? And then so there may be a bunch of also bias in the data. So those are some of the problems. That how do you solve these problems? You solve them through data cleaning and manipulation, right? Data cleaning and manipulation is how you solve these problems. So this is one insight. Let me go to the next question, right? And here I want to understand again, see what I'm doing. I'm starting with a question always. What is the average number of items, right? What is the average number of items uh, ordered in each city, right? Okay, average number of items ordered in each city. So again, what I'll do is I'll create a pivot table. I'll place this in an existing worksheet, that is this one, right? And I'll put city here and average of ordered items ordered, not count, but average. Okay, no, this is, so we don't have, this is dividing it by zero. Instead of this, let me first get this number without, without the city mix. Or I'll do this here only because this is leading to some error. Let me show this to you because we have probably some zero values also. So I'll take an average right here. I'll use this formula equal to average. And I take an average and see that, okay, the average number of items ordered is 3. This is already very helpful. Yeah, a next step for me as a data analyst in Zomato would be to see that what are the typical combinations, like what do these typical 3 items look like. Is the third item always a Coke? At least that's what I see here, right? In some of these like very qualitative skimming through the data, I see a lot of Coke as part of the order. So there are 3 items and the fourth one is Coke. There's one item, the second one is Coke. Again, one item, second one is Coke, right? So bunch of these. So this gives me already an idea as to what are the kinds of combos, what are the kinds of combos I can launch on Zomato. That's exactly what they did when they started with these combos and everything, right? Across restaurants. And they understood that, okay, these are 3 things that this person is ordering. If I, at the time of checkout, if I show that you can order a Coke for like 20 rupees discount or 20% discount, then this person is more likely to add a Coke in the order or to add a third item in the order. Right? I hope you understand. These are the kinds of questions and these are the kinds of discussions that happen inside of these food delivery companies. So, based on the data, I see that typically 3 items are ordered. Based on another level of data and another round of data analysis with more detailed data, with more in-depth data, I will be able to also understand that, okay, that the third item or maybe Coke is a frequently ordered item, right? If there are 2 things, a person is highly likely to order a drink also alongside. So why don't we offer a discount? Or why don't we offer a combo with Coke or with any of these drinks already? Right? So that's the idea. That's how you learn from this. Those are the kinds of insights and trends you derive from this. And this then converts into business value. Right? This is how it happens in companies. So this then converts into business value for companies. All right. Now I want to see one very, very interesting thing. I want to see order trend, right? So I want to understand order trend across days because I have 18 days of data. So I want to quickly look at like the order trend across days. So what I'll do is I'll take a slightly different approach now. I'll just select these two columns like order date and number of orders, right? And what I'll do is I'll insert directly a pivot chart, right? And I'll do that here in this worksheet in order trend. And what is it saying? Okay, it's saying that. So I'll first create a pivot table. I'll take again a slightly different approach. Let me first create a pivot table, order trend. Um, and we'll add again order date on the rows and number of orders. So unique order IDs in the values. And I want to create now from here, if you see in the insert, I have a pivot chart and I want to create a line chart. This helps me understand how was the order trend varying across the last 18 days. So very clearly there was a peak on this day, 3rd of April. Was there something special that day, first of all? That's the kind of thing you should think about when you see such kind of a trend. Or was it more like random or seasonal or something else, right? Or was there an offer that Zomato launched that day? Salary credited third? No, not really, maybe Chandrika, but because again, it varies across companies, right? So not all companies credit their salaries on 3rd of like April, but that's exactly the right way to think about it, right? That is definitely on the right along the right lines. So makes sense. First week, yes. Sunday, okay. Satyam asks this question. Now, this is an interesting thing, right? Sunday. Is this a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? Let's do that analysis. Let's bring it here, right? Let's see which days, again, what's the question? Which days are we getting the highest number of orders? So I will do one thing. I'll create a new column here. I'll call this order day of week. I use a formula here, bunch of ways to do this, but I use a very simple formula called text. This is the value, and I want this. Okay, instead of 04, I'll get maybe the name of the day, Friday. Perfect. I'll write DDDD. So basically means that it really writes the day of the week here, and I'll expand it across the all the data that I have, all the data points. Super, very interesting. Let me now create from here a pivot chart directly now. See, I'm directly creating a pivot chart here in the same table called order trend. What I'll do is I'll take this day of week. Yeah, order day of week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so on till Saturday. And let's look at number of items. Can you tell me which day is the most famous? Like which day do people or really want to order? So which day has the most number of orders? Clearly Thursday, right? 193. And to me, honestly, this makes sense. Why? Because by Thursday, people are really, because again, if you see these are metro cities, people are in jobs. So people get really tired, frustrated I mean, by the end of the week, right? Friday, they want to go out. Friday, they want to go out, maybe have a beer, chill out with friends, and so on and so forth. But Thursday is when they're already tired, and this is where they probably want to order something. They don't want to cook something at home, and they would want to order something online. The other explanation, logical explanation, could be that there may be an order, right? Like Zomato Thursdays or something, where you may have cheaper stuff on Thursday. right? So those are the kinds of insights. That's how you see this. That's how you see this, right? And then, of course, the second spike. Now, let's look at these spikes here, right, in the chart. So, or maybe let's really create now, instead of this line chart only, I'll just change the chart type from here to a line chart. Yeah, actually, the spike is still during the day, during the week, and not during the weekend, honestly, if you see. Yeah, and this to me also makes sense because on the weekend you may or may not want to order. So again, bunch of ways to explain this, and take all of this data with a pinch of salt. It's still not real, like real data. It's not still created by me and ChatGPT together. So that's the idea. Okay, perfect. So this is already super helpful. Order trend we are done with. I mean, the last thing that you want to see probably is order type. Or I'll just skip order status, how many are in progress, how many are delivered, cancelled, and so on. Um, let's quickly look at device type now, right? Let's look at device type. Again, I'll create a pivot table in this column. 1 second. Device type. So I select all of this data. I create a pivot table in an existing worksheet. That is the device type. So what I need to do is I need to drag device type to rows and delivery time, sorry, and number of orders to values. By chance, in this case, although this does not look like really correct, but yeah, this is what we have. This is the data that we have. Looks like most of the orders have been placed using tablet, right? So that's another insight, and you should always create charts. You won't be able to show this in your presentation or the document that you are creating as part of case studies and as part of like the interview processes of companies. You will always need to create charts. So what I do is I create maybe a bar chart like this. Yeah, this is better. Makes sense. And I want to remove blank, so I'll just remove it from here. You can always remove it like this, right? Now this is sharper. So this gives me an idea. Again, what's the insight? The insight is that okay, people want to order from this device majorly. Let's optimize first. If I'm building a new solution, I may first build for this device. If I'm building a new feature, I want to first probably optimize for this device. All right, last thing I want to do here is um, how can we increase revenue? So of course, I can look at delivery time and feedback also, but we'll see if we get some more time towards the end. But this is an important question now that we want to answer. How can we increase revenue? Now, what is revenue? Can you tell me what is revenue? Like, what's the formula for revenue? So, revenue is number of items ordered multiplied by average order value. Very simply, right? In a food delivery business, this is the simplest formula. Average order value into number of items ordered. Very simple. Now, the idea is if I want to increase revenue, I would have to increase one of these, either number of items ordered or AOV. And you have the analysis of each of these two in this sheet. Like we've already done this. Right? We know that which city, which restaurant, which location, which kind of users, which device have higher number of items ordered. And we also know AOV, right? We've done an analysis on AOV also. Like which of these, let's say, uh, from the data that I have, which of the restaurants, which of the locations, which of the cities, days of week, delivery timestamps, device types, feedback, etc. Which of these cuts I have higher or average order values? So from each of these, I'll get some insights, right? And I may get to a very specific answer, like Um, in Delhi, in this location, we can increase revenue by adding maybe a combo item like a Coke, because then the average order value goes high. Earlier, you were ordering something for 300 rupees. Now you order something for, because now Coke is added, you may get something for about, let's say, 330 rupees. So average order value increases, which means this part increases, which means revenue, of course, increases, right? And you may just run this offer on Thursday. Why Thursday? Because we already know that most of the orders are on Thursday. So the maximum benefit of this offer will be on Thursday. I don't need to run this every day, of course, because when I as Zomato run any offer, I may lose out also on money, right? Because it is an offer. I am burning some cash. I'm burning money. I'm offering a 50 rupee Coke for a 40 rupees. So 10 rupees I'm burning there on each order. So that also obviously you need to keep in mind, right? Profitability. That's You also need to think about profits. So revenue is one thing, and then profits. What is profit, by the way? Profit is revenue minus cost. So how can I now increase revenue or reduce cost? Now, this is how you answer in interviews. If you take this approach, if you like really divide that problem statement into sub problems, in this case, revenue and cost. Let's say if you, this is a classic question, by the way, in Zomato interviews. I have given Zomato interviews multiple times across many roles. And this is a classic question: how can we increase profits in Zomato? And just try to package it in a way that is slightly confusing also sometimes for the applicant, for the interviewee, that yeah, last few months Zomato has the revenue was reduced. How can we further, like, how can we again bring revenue on track and increase revenue? This is how you divide it into sub problems and really break it down using data. And this is exactly how you solve business problems in interviews, of course, in case studies, of course, but also in companies. All right. So that is like an end-to-end uh, data analytics life cycle for you all. We've been able to solve a few business problems using this and derive insights from this data, which is super packed with insights, right? And I hope staying till the end helped you. Now, I want to quickly answer some of these questions. I see a lot of these here. Yeah, but just before that, uh, I just want to, because I see now in the Q&A, like not in the chat, but in the Q&A, there are still questions more around like switching careers and all, right? So I gave you this framework already of how to think about jobs, if you see, right? Like how do we become a better data analyst if you want to move higher, if you want to climb the ladder, or if you want to also switch from different industries, or if you just want a job if you're a fresher. So for all these things, this is how you think about it, right? And I also do the same in the course that I was talking about in the boot camp, right? So I'm an instructor in the course. This is the kind of approach we use, and we teach using always these data sets. It's very very practical, like I said, right? It's super like hands-on and practical. You really get to solve real life case studies, like real world case studies. On this course, because I see these questions here, I'll post this form again. I've posted it here in the chat. If you want to explore the data analytics job bootcamp, just fill the form. It's there in the chat. You may want to understand, yeah, how we can, how you this can help you reach your goals, right? The goals that you wrote in the beginning. So I'm very confident it should be able to help you. More questions around the bootcamp I'll not be taking right now. I'll invite someone from the program experts team at Coding Ninjas in a few minutes to do that for you, right? But I'll just quickly take up the other questions right now. Do you have any upcoming webinar for business analysts, Monica? Yes, I do have a bunch of sessions. Like every week, at least once, I do have a session. So can you go to this Naukri.com? I'll maybe post this link here. Just write Naukri.com events and you'll get a bunch of the other sessions that I do typically. Right? I'll just, one second. Let me just, if this helps, I'll paste the link here already. Yeah, I have pasted it here. So these are the other events that we keep on doing. Yeah, idea about data science. Yes, these links will help you. Sorry, these events will help you do that. I do a lot of these. I don't have one planned right now for the next week, but yeah, very soon we would be able to. You'll see here like more sessions from me. And yes, now that you've done this like a mini project, do definitely like do this yourself. I'll just share the data set in a bit. Do this yourself and write it also on your resume, right? You really want to sell yourself well. You really want to sell your skills well, right? Post it on LinkedIn, post it on these platforms, social media or communities, right? And this will help you get some recruiter attention also, and that will help you get a foot in the door. That is how things happen, right? It takes time, but these are the projects and these are the kinds of data analytics, yeah, exercises you need to do, and then also post it on in your resume, post it on LinkedIn, and share with the world. Communicate and signal to your network that you are passionate about this field. Tell them that you are doing this extra, you're putting in this extra effort. Signal to them that you have it in yourself, whatever it takes to really become a part of their company, to become a good data analyst, right? After these sessions, typically I've seen a lot of people posting also on LinkedIn, reaching out for like how do we do this in the resume and so on. And that's the right approach, I would say, right? Because a lot of people would do a lot of projects, but how many of them really communicate it also well to the world, to the recruiters, right? To people in companies. That's what will matter. And yes, if you want to post this on LinkedIn, I'll just share my LinkedIn profile also with you, just in case you are posting and you want to tag me. I typically also repost and amplify and comment and all. So happy to do that also if that helps. I've pasted my LinkedIn also here just in case you want to connect or you want to yeah, post or tag me or something. Okay, so let's get back. I see what are the softwares in data science? So in the order of priority, I would say SQL, Python, Excel, Power BI, and then others like maybe uh, probably Tableau or other tools like Google Analytics and so on. But I think in the data science slash data analytics space, this would be the order. So SQL, Python, Excel, Power BI, this sort of a thing. Okay. Google Sheets added the new AI feature. Yes, that is true. It will take like some time for it to really mature, but then very soon it will be able to really provide a lot of value to people using it. Um, all right. Okay. So I'll just share this data set with you all. Right. I'll share the. Do you want me to share like the data with all these insight, like the analysis that we did, or do you want me to share the raw data? Just let me know. Do you want me to share uh, like this the data with all the analytics analysis that we did, or raw data? I'll accordingly, because I have different data sets here. Okay. Yeah, sure thing. I should be able to do that. I think most of you are with all the analysis here, so I'll just do that. Give me 1 second. Meanwhile, you can feel free to write more questions here in the chat, and let's see how we can take them up. Okay. While I share the like the data with you all, can we already Shubham or whoever is there in the call, can we already invite someone from the team to start with questions around the program or anything outside of like what I've covered, maybe like
Uh,
anything around the boot camp? Yeah.
yeah, sure, Ashwin. So, what we'll do is, since we are getting a lots of questions around the job bootcamp, so we'll just go through some of the features that we are providing for the bootcamp for the next 10 to 15 minutes through a quick presentation, and then we'll be having live Q&A where participants will be able to clear all the doubts and queries, whatever they have. Ashwin, anything that you would want to cover as of now, or else?
Yeah, so yes, perfect. So I have just shared this data set here in the chat. Can just give it a second, it's still loading. Yes, I think it is sent now successfully. Can everyone confirm if they've received it? Zomato order data, like this is with all the analysis that we did today. Perfect, perfect. Sure, then thanks a lot, everyone. I look forward to seeing some of your yeah, success stories and LinkedIn posts. Feel free to tag me and all, and let's really make this happen. Look forward to seeing you achieve the goals that you wrote in the beginning of the session, right? Best of luck for that. And yeah, then over to you for taking up questions around the job bootcamp and how this program can help people move to the other side. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Ashwin, once again for such an informative session. As we are getting questions around the job bootcamp, so for that, let me introduce our program manager, Mr. Pinku Pandey. He'll be just taking another 10 to 15 minutes explaining each and everything around the bootcamp by Coding Ninjas, how this would be helpful for the people who are looking for the transition that they want into the industry, and as well as for the people who are already into the industry and want to grab better opportunities by upskilling themselves. So, yeah, thank you so much once again, Ashwin. And now I would request Pinku to take on from here. Welcome to the masterclass, Pinku, and over to you now.
Hi guys, my name is Pinku Pandey. I'm working as a senior program manager in Coding Ninja. So I'll be taking care from here the session. I'll be carry forward the session, and thank you our host for taking this informative session. So before going ahead, let me do one thing. Let me share my screen and showcase you how Coding Ninja Job Bootcamp will be helpful for you to do a transition to become a good data analyst, to get into your first job as a data analyst, or transition your domain as a data analyst. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So before explaining about the data analytics of the job bootcamp, let me explain you about Coding Ninjas. So basically, Coding Ninjas, we are providing the services from last around 8 years, right? So we are in this